Daily inspections are the first confidence block of your day's flying. It's an opportunity for you to get your kit out. If you've not flown for a while, examine it, make sure it's all tidy, make sure there's no damage, clip everything together, get everything switched on, have 10 minutes on launch while you're doing that, and you're just focused on sorting your gear out. So store your external bag and all your stuff into the back of the harness, pull your glider out. While you're pulling your glider out, you can look up and down the cell walls, checking for any obvious damage. Paragliding rips, tears and line coming loose. It's obvious stuff. It doesn't have to be, a Swiss watch inspection. You can really easily spot damage without being too fussy about it. If it's windy and you've got space, lay your glider wingtip into wind. That will help it. That will stop it flapping around. You won't have to weight it down with gear or anything daft like a stone or anything. Modern gliders have a lot of very complex stitching and battens built into the leading edge. So either when you pack it away or, in this instance when we're pulling it out, it's important that you take them 5 minutes, just look at the leading edge and check that there's no damage being done by banging on the ground or sticking into a bush. Right, so just work through the leading edge, have a quick glance down into the cell wall, see there's no obstructions, and then work cell by cell until you get to the wingtip. Like I said, damage looks obvious. Lines inside the cell walls, you'll either see loose line or it will look absolutely fine and as it should do. Tears are quite obvious. Holes, puncture marks, they're easy to spot. You don't need a magnifying glass, you need to just confidently look up and down the panels, look into the leading edge, look at the top surface of the leading edge, see if that's been battered on the ground. So checking our lines and risers, probably the most crucial bit of our daily inspection. One, we're looking for potential damage to lines. We're looking for wear between fabric from the lines and malleons, and from malleons to webbing fabric. So those are the key areas that we need to inspect on the risers. And then looking down the lines, we're looking for knots, scuff points where the line has snagged and the outer sheathing's been ripped and we've got a bit of inner core, and then we've got to make a judgment call on whether we're happy to fly with that or whether it's damaged and we can't fly it. So start by picking up the risers. I generally encourage people to hold them by the end of the riser that connects to the malleon. Pull a bit of tension on them and they should separate out. You'll get a little bit more clarity. You'll be able to see how they separate from A's, B's, C's, and then the rear of the brake line at the end. And then start by, you can pick up the A's, working from the outside A in, you should be able to clear those lines. They're quite often not entangled, so you've got to just give them a little tug and they will separate, right? But standing back with a little bit of tension on the riser will be easier for you to analyse what's wrong and right. Whereas if we're all bunched up tight to it, they just bundle up and it looks like a nest. A complete nightmare. Now we've got our A risers, we're holding them on the riser itself. Work through your A's. Then once you've got those, put them into your hand, check the B's, all good, lovely, check the C's and so on. When we get to the brake handle, it's really important you check the knot obviously and the handle is secure. Make sure there's nothing between the pulley and the brake handle. There should be there should be just a line going between the two. It shouldn't be wrapped around anything. Little checks like that are quite crucial to whether you take off and can steer or can't steer. I generally then, once the brake handle is secure, I generally grab the brake line above the pulley and holding the risers in one hand, my So my left hand, I pull out the brake line and I pull and see how it pulls the cascades out from the trailing edge. So I see that that it's not tangled on the ground, or it's not knotted to any C risers or rear risers. And then ideally what you want to do, quite honestly, is just attach it immediately to the harness. But if you can't do that, then just with the A risers on top, just lay it down, A risers facing out, so you can walk up to the glider and clip in and go. Harness checks shouldn't take you too long. You know, we sit in them, fly in them, manhandle harnesses around. We're used to handling them. The fabric's pretty tough. You know, we're looking for general wear and tear, and over longer periods of time, we're looking for, especially if you bought second-hand harnesses, you should be looking at where metal meets fabric for wear and fraying. So work through from the shoulder straps, leg straps, chest straps, you know, a little comfort strap, and just check that everything looks as it should do. Get into a routine of always checking reserve handle. They're easy to forget. If you've not pulled your glider out for a month and it's been packed up tightly in the corner, the handle will be flat. So I'd start by checking that, plumping up the handle so it's easy to grab. I would check that the pins are in place. Little checks like that occasionally, very important. Remember, if you ever fall over on launch or get dragged, check your reserve. It's worth checking around your seat board. If you lift up the seat plate, you can see where your webbing straps are. There have been known examples of carbon fibre boards, as they got battered or worn, that the ends of those can fray against your webbing strap. So your periodic checks of these things, just keep on top of it. Again, connectors, the stuff that we use to hold us into the harness. It's important that you check them, that you put them together, you give them a wiggle so they can't pull apart, and you undo them, and you know that you take, you know, these are the things that hold you in the harness. They're quite critical, so it's important to pay a bit of attention to them. We need to also check the carabiner. They're all slightly different. They all spring, twist in different ways. Press button, make sure they open, close and spring back close after you've used them. So to attach the harness, take the harness up to the wing, place it a good couple of meters back so that when we pull the risers and attach it, we're not going to accidentally inflate it in a breeze. Then find the carabiner, make sure there's no funny twists in it, that it's nice and clean, that you can run your hand up from the seat plate up to the riser, from the, you know, up to the carabiner, from the carabiner up to the shoulder strap. Grab hold of your riser, and you know the speed system will easily show you that that's the front of the riser, and on the ground without weight on it, it will sort of generally face outwards and to one side. In flight, they will twist and face forwards. Open the carabiner, slide your riser in so it's nice and attached, make sure the carabiner springs back, then attach your speed system, do the same on the other side. Remember, the last check you do before clipping into your harness is what we call the harness check. It's easy to get distracted, or you've done your checks, you go over, chat to a mate about the weather, you come back, you pick up your kit again. To make sure that everything's in line, or that if you're a little bit unsure about putting the risers on appropriately, just pick the harness up by the seat plate, rest it on your knee if it's heavy, and just pull a bit of tension so you can see a nice smooth line from the bottom of the seat plate up to the carabiner and then on towards the glider. If you're holding the seat plate correctly, you should be able to see two clean lines going to your leading edge without any twists. If it doesn't look right, then in truth it probably isn't. So then give yourself a bit of time and do your harness check so you don't clip in with a twist. We've tried to cover these daily inspections in a bit of detail, but the more you get familiar with your equipment, the shorter the inspection will get. You know, I I know what the fabric of my glide is like because I pack it away after each flight, so I see what the fabric's like, and if I spot damage then I get it repaired before I go flying next. The most important aspects of your daily inspections got to be lines, brake lines, clipping on your risers in the same way. And if you struggle, if the familiarity of clipping your risers onto your harness is too much for you, then just leave them attached and just pull the kit out, do your daily inspections and do your harness check.